On behalf of the School of Education Alumni Board of Directors, it's a pleasure once again to welcome you to tonight's Distinguished Alumni Award dinner. I'd like to take a moment to recognize we have many current and former Alumni Association board members present tonight. I'd just like to take a moment to ask each of those current and former School of Education Alumni board members to stand and be recognized. Thank you each for your service to the university and more specifically to our great School of Education. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Interim Dean of the Indiana University School of Education, Dr. Terry Mason. Dean Mason is an accomplished teacher, researcher, and administrator who began his career in education nearly 40 years ago as an elementary school teacher in Southern California. He brings a comprehensive knowledge of the school and the university to this position, as well as an ongoing commitment to the excellent domestic and global programs in research and teaching for which the school is celebrated. Terry has served IU School of Education for 21 years, being an assistant professor of curriculum and instruction, beginning in 1994 as an assistant professor of curriculum instruction. From 2004 to 2012, he was director of what was then Indiana University's Center for Social Studies and International Education. In recent years, he has directed IU's participation in several international initiatives, including the USAID-funded Afghanistan Higher Education Project and the South Sudan Higher Education Initiative for Equity and Leadership Development. In addition to the deanship, Terry continues to serve the School of Education as a professor in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, where he teaches courses in elementary social studies methods, curriculum theory and practice, and teacher education. He has also held administrative positions at the campus level as an associate dean of faculties and associate vice provost for research. Terry earned his master's and PhD from the Graduate School of Education at the University of California, Los Angeles, and also holds a bachelor's degree in history from UCLA. Prior to becoming a faculty member at Indiana University, he taught at Central Connecticut State University and the University of Georgia. Terry's research interests have focused mainly on civic education, teacher preparation, and social studies curriculum. Terry has been a frequent presenter at national conferences, while internationally he has lectured and conducted workshops in more than 20 countries, and most recently presented a keynote address at King Saud University in Saudi Arabia on teacher education. Please join me in welcoming Dean Terry Mason.
Thank you, David. For the last 15 years, Dean Gerardo Gonzalez has presided over this wonderful event. And when I took on the interim deanship, because Gerardo has so many gifts and talents, there were two things that I was concerned about. One of them was being able to successfully lead an event, to master of ceremonies at an event like this, because he's so good at it. And the other thing is I'm still very afraid that someone's going to ask me to dance. But with that, I spoke with Gerardo this week, and he's leaving for Cuba today, because he's been appointed, as you may know, as an advisor to the university on Cuba relations, and so he's leaving for a trip to Cuba, and he sends his greetings to all of you who are participating in this, and particularly to all the alumni. There you go, Larry.
Thank you.
But seriously, it's great to be here. Good evening and welcome to everyone. As interim dean at the Indiana School of Education, I have the privilege of working with tremendously talented faculty and staff and students who are truly making a difference to close to home and around the world. Through their outstanding work, the School of Education literally touches every corner of the globe. From our deep relationships supporting urban schools in Indiana to our work in rebuilding the education system in Afghanistan, from placing student teachers in Chicago public schools, the Navajo Nation in 18 countries and 6 continents, to providing counseling and support to underserved middle school children right here in Bloomington. In these ways and in so many more, the School of Education is tackling the most pressing issues of our day and indeed making a world of difference. But nothing makes me prouder than to think about the accomplishments of our alumni. Over 68,000 strong and living around the world is the work of these talented and dedicated individuals that makes the world a better place through the power of education. And it was mentioned before that a lot of my work has been international, and when I travel the world, I continually run into IU School of Education alums, whether it's in Afghanistan or South Sudan or elsewhere around the world. We really do have an incredible global reach. So tonight we gather to honor 4 of our alumni who have dedicated their lives to the work of being excellent educators. These individuals have excelled in their professional and civic lives, and in doing so have brought great pride to the School of Education and to Indiana University. But before we honor this year's awardees, I'd like to recognize some special guests with us tonight. First, I'd like to thank tonight's musical guests, the one and only IU Emeritus Jazz Trio. We have Lou Paulstrove on saxophone, Gary Potter on piano, and Matt McConaughey on bass. They were great. And I'm sorry, guys, I didn't bring my guitar tonight, so I was unable to sit in, but next time. I'm also very pleased to recognize 3 former distinguished alumni and award recipients who are in attendance tonight. Dick Bishop, Joseph Russell, Hazel Tribble. Hazel is also a former alumni board member. Would you please stand? And although Dave already recognized our alumni board, I would like to add my personal appreciation for their advocacy and service under Dave's outstanding leadership. Last week I had a chance to meet with them, and I was just truly impressed at what a dedicated group they are and how interested they are in serving in an advocacy role for the School of Education and for the field of education. And I think our alumni board is particularly important, and I want to give a shout out to them. We also have, as I do so, I'd like to recognize our past presidents of the alumni board in attendance tonight: Doug Williams, Suzanne Seibert, and Jimmy Jacobson. Also, please join me in welcoming Dr. Gary Crow, Interim Executive Associate Dean for the School of Education here in Bloomington, and also please welcome Dr. Robin Hughes, Interim Executive Associate Dean of the IU School of Education at IUPUI. I've said this several times over the last few months when I've met with people, but as I have come in as interim dean, one of the most important things for me has been the incredible support of the faculty in the School of Education and the people who have stepped up as we go through this very challenging transitional year. And I really think, above all, Robin and Gary, I want to particularly thank for the service that they are providing to me and the help that they give me every day as I work toward carrying out the duties of the deanship. And so Gary and Robin, my thanks. I'd like to take a moment to recognize 2 very special faculty chair appointments recently announced by the school. First, please join me in acknowledging Dr. Rob Kunzman, the Martha Lee and Bill Armstrong Chair of Teacher Education. Rob will most certainly provide continued strong leadership for the Armstrong Teachers Program, which brings together exemplary teachers throughout the state of Indiana for professional development and mentorship. Rob and I are both from Southern California, and so we have this yearly wager on the UCLA-USC football game. And I just want Rob to know that just because he's the Armstrong chair, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have to wear that UCLA tie when he loses the games. Secondly, please let me join in acknowledging Dr. Cindy Mello-Silver, the Barbara B. Jacobs Chair in Education and Technology, who in her role will continue advancing research on innovative technology that supports both problem-based and inquiry learning. Thank you. Cindy comes to us a few years ago from Rutgers University, and the victory that we have of getting Cindy to come here certainly overshadows any other losses regarding Rutgers University. No more football jokes. I'm done. We also have former members of the university's senior leadership team with us tonight, who I'd like to recognize individually. Howard Mellinger, former dean of the Indiana University School of Education. Howard. Howard was very influential when I came here 21 years ago. He gave me one of my first opportunities to do international work, which led to many other opportunities. So I went to Russia in 1996 on a project that Howard was leading, and I've always been deeply indebted to him for that opportunity. Thanks, Howard. Barbara Wilcox, former Executive Associate Dean of the IU School of Education, IUPY. Barbara. They had to leave. Oh, sorry. Okay. Dick McKay, former Vice Provost for Student Affairs. Dick. Tom McGlasson, former Vice President and General Counsel for the Indiana University Foundation. Tom? And Edson Sample, former Director of Scholarships and Financial Aid for Indiana University, Governor-appointed Distinguished Hoosier and Sagamore of the Wabash, and also generous donor to the construction of the university's iconic Sample Gates. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a few other special guests joining us tonight. Stacy McCormick is the 2011 Indiana Teacher of the Year and also serves as Vice President of our Alumni Board of Directors. And Melanie Park is the 2012 Indiana Teacher of the Year and one of the newest members of our Alumni Board of Directors. We also have several members of our previous class campaign scholarship committees with us tonight. Please join me in recognizing Jimmy Jacobson, Susie McGlasson, Erdine Simmet, and Martha Street. We are truly honored to have all of you with us tonight. It's such an honor to serve as the interim dean of a school that has such accomplished alumni and advocates and friends. Without the work of individuals like those just recognized, our reach would be more narrow and our impact less significant. But it goes without saying that the heart of the school is our talented and committed students and faculty. Several of our students, current faculty and emeritus faculty, are with us tonight. Please stand and accept our appreciation for all you've done and will continue to do to serve the school and advance education throughout the world. Students and faculty. Thank you all for your leadership and tireless contributions to the School of Education and Indiana University. It's now my pleasure to recognize this year's Distinguished Alumni Award honorees. The first recipient we honor tonight is Bob Draba. Unfortunately, Bob is unable to be with us tonight. We recently received news that Bob has been diagnosed with lung cancer. We understand, though, that Bob has had a successful surgery earlier this week and is now recovering at the University of Chicago Medical Center. We're very, very glad to hear that, obviously. Our hearts and thoughts and prayers continue to be with Bob. In his absence, we would like to proceed with his recognition, and we look forward to the next opportunity to complete Bob's award presentation, no doubt at next year's ceremony. A lifetime supporter of Indiana University, Draba is a 1968 graduate of IU Bloomington. He went on to receive a PhD in education from the University of Chicago, an MBA from the University of Chicago, Beta Sigma, Gamma Sigma, and a law degree from Loyola University, cum laude. Selected through the highly competitive honors program in the United States Department of Justice, Draba is a trial attorney in the Antitrust Division in Washington, D.C. Prior to this, he was executive director of two Chicago area medical associations, the American Osteopathic Association and the American Association of Neurological Surgeons. For 11 years, Draba worked for Chicago Osteopathic Health Systems, now known as Midwestern University, where he held the positions a Vice President for Administration, Executive Secretary of the Board of Directors, and Associate Professor of Medical Education. Shortly after his graduation from IU, Draba entered the Peace Corps and served in the Philippines. Thereafter, he returned to his hometown of East Chicago, Indiana, accepting a teaching position with the Gary Community School Corporation, where he taught English and journalism for nearly 10 years. Concurrently, Draba taught courses in methods of teaching and reading for the School of Education, IU Northwest, while supervising student teachers. Draba was recently selected for a detail to the Office of the Pardon Attorney, which assists the President of the United States in the exercise of executive clemency. All requests for executive clemency for federal offenses are directed to the Pardon Attorney for investigation and review. Draba has published numerous articles in law, medical education, and educational measurement, and is a member of the advisory board for the Institute for Consumer Antitrust Studies at Loyola University, Chicago School of Law. After spending several years in Munster, Indiana, Draba currently resides in Vienna, Virginia. He enjoys ballet, jazz, and theater, and is very mindful of the difference Indiana University has made in his life. We are delighted to recognize Bob as an Indiana University School of Education distinguished alumnus. And as I said, we're really hopeful that Bob will be able to join us next year. Our second recipient of this year's Distinguished Alumni Award is Peggy Hinckley. A lifelong Hoosier, Hinckley earned her first 4 university degrees from Indiana University School of Education. In 1984, her first of 4, I should say, in 1974, in an early childhood cohort taught by Dr. Marion Swayze. Hinckley began her teaching career in Indiana at Meister Elementary and River Forest School Corporation in Lake County. She eventually became the superintendent of schools in 1984, moving on to LaPorte in 1989, and the Metropolitan School District of Warren Township in 2001, before retiring in 2012 as the longest-serving female Indiana superintendent at 28 years. In her role as superintendent at MSD of Warren Township, Hinckley worked with a visionary group of educators to raise student achievement through the implementation of the 8-step process, while resolving serious budget issues at a time of growing enrollment. As a result of this success, the 8-step process was adopted by the Indiana Department of Education as its school improvement process for over 130 Indiana schools. Other innovations by Warren Township, by Warren educators, included the Balanced Calendar, Employee Health Center, community discussion forums to gather authentic feedback from citizens, Warren Central Freshman Center, Early Childhood Center, and various elements of the 8-step process, including instructional calendars, 3-week assessments, and a daily success period of tutorials or enrichment. Hinckley has been the recipient of the Indiana Superintendent of the Year in 1995, the Outstanding Educator Award in 1998, presented by the Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents. She also received Senator Lugar's inaugural Education Patriot Award in 2010, and the Indiana School Board Association Lauren Burt Outstanding Educator in 2012. Hinckley has published 8 articles and is the author of Monitoring, Keeping Your Finger on the Pulse of School Improvement from 2012. Since 1998, Hinckley has made over 65 conference presentations and keynote addresses throughout the United States. In 2009, she began working, along with colleague Pat Davenport, as a school improvement consultant, helping schools across the country that were facing accountability challenges. Hinckley is married to Mark Hinckley, a retired school superintendent. Her daughter, Katie Dowling, is the Chief Financial Officer for Griffith Public Schools. Peggy, you are truly a force in the field of higher education. It is my honor to recognize you as a distinguished alumnus of the Indiana School of Education.
return here, but never did I imagine, of course, that I would return to receive such a prestigious award. And I thank the Indiana School of Education and the committee who selected the distinguished alumni. I want to congratulate the other award winners this evening, Robert, Liz, whom I worked with when I had a little stint at IPS, and Pat, whom I will certainly hear about in a minute. I want to thank Father Bob Bodoff, was the person who nominated me for the award. Now, most of you don't know me, which is probably good, but some of the people that do know me probably are surprised a priest would nominate me for anything. After all, I was a school superintendent for 28 years. He was my husband's teacher and counselor. He and his wife Mary graduated from IU, but after Mary died, he decided to become a priest. So he was the person who insisted on nominating me. I am sad tonight because he was ill and passed away before he could be here this evening to be here to see this, but I know he has a primetime seat and he is watching. I also want to thank, again, Dr. Marion Swayze. I know she is also in a primetime seat. We had an early childhood education cohort. At the time it was experimental. Instead of 16 weeks of student teaching, you did each semester a different experience. Everybody thought we'd all be miserable failures, but the truth was we were very successful. She taught us to blaze trails and not follow paths. My life has been blessed with family and friends. I have two women here that I met on the 5th floor of Reed Hall, which I found out tonight still does not have air conditioning. Seriously? Linda McLean and Jan Stengel, who have remained lifelong friends, and you're lucky when you can say you have friends for 45 years. I want to thank my mom and dad, of course, who also have primetime seats, because they certainly were the reason that we were able to attend school. My sister Denise, who is here, and her husband Terry, my brother Tom and his wife Barbara, and the two loves of my life, my daughter Katie, who is a successful Chief Financial Officer for Griffith Public Schools, and her husband David, and my husband Mark, who enjoyed 25 and a half years as a superintendent and moved 3 times for me. Finally, my thanks to the communities of River Forest, LaPorte, and MSD of Warren Township, Indianapolis, and the educators who allowed me the privilege of working with them to improve the education of the children we serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peggy, and congratulations. Our third recipient is Liz Odle. Odle obtained her master's degree in special education in 1974 as the first cohort graduate of IUPUI's newly created Teacher Corps program. Later, she earned her administrative certification for both secondary and elementary education at IUPUI. With 15 years of teaching experience in a variety of special education settings, Odle began to value the pivotal connections between community collaboration and successfully educating the whole child. In 1991, Odle's administrative career began as a principal of Washington Irving Elementary No. 14 in the Indianapolis Public School District. During his 18 years of leadership, she and her staff of educators faced a variety of challenges, working with the largest number of homeless students in any school across the state. Rather than accepting poverty and other hardship conditions as reasons for students to not succeed, Odle and her team leveraged a diverse array of programs, services, and alliances with local businesses and community organizations to address the needs of both students and their families. Odle embraced a community engaging spirit and became director of Bridges to Success with the United Way of Central Indiana in 2009. This initiative utilized over 250 community service and business partners to provide more than 9,000 students and their families with a variety of programs and basic needs services during the school year. Odle's accomplishments, both as an educator and community service director, have been well publicized and recognized. She has been featured in IUPUI's Alumni publication, collection of stories on success and lives changed, and Nouveau newspaper's article, The Woman Behind an IPS Success Story. Odle has received recognition that includes IUPUI's philanthropic Community Leader Award, the Indiana Department of Education Spotlight on Learning Award, and Title I Distinguished Principal Award. The H. Dean Evans Community Servant and Leadership Award, the Center for Leadership Development Distinguished Achievement in Education Award, and the Girls Incorporated Touchstone Community Service Award. Currently serving Indiana University, Odle is a member of the School of Education's Alumni Board of Directors and is an adjunct professor at IUPUI, where she helped establish the Art Drill Transition to Teach Scholarship, which is designed to assist graduate students. Odle is married to Stephen, a retired lieutenant of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. They have 2 children, Sean, Kia, and 2 grandchildren, Jackson and Jasmine. Liz, your accomplishments, both as an educator and as a community service ambassador, are truly inspiring to us all. It makes me very proud to honor you as a distinguished alumnus of the IU School of Education.
Good, better, best. We never let it rest until our good is better and our better is best. For over 3 decades, as a special education teacher, Indianapolis Public Schools educator, and elementary principal, I shared that motto with over 10,000 students. That was the motto that I asked all of my students to remember, not just in school, but I said they should remember that motto for all aspects of their lives. I wanted to make sure that the destiny of every child that entered into the doors of our schools was not defined by their background, not defined by their zip code, or even their parents' economic status, but by their own personal efforts that they performed. IUPUI of Indianapolis gave me that jump start and the opportunity to pursue an education career through their newly established Teacher Corps program. I was a closet social worker. That was my first pursuit. And I had the opportunity, when I could not get into the social work school at that time, to be offered the opportunity to change my career and to go into education. And what a change that was for me. I was provided with the stimulus to understand the pivotal connection between community collaboration and successfully educating the whole child with community and extended family support. It gave me the opportunity to begin a journey of being a servant leader that, with educating and advocating, not just for the students, but for the families as well. This transformed my philosophy in believing that there is no silver bullet to the success of our students. Oftentimes we blame the parents. We say those parents just didn't prepare the kids. We blame the teachers and we say they just didn't educate the kids. But our students, of course all of you know, need a wide range of resources to effectively support educating them. Every child must be given the opportunity and encouragement to develop, not just in their basic academic skills, but also in their social and emotional skills as well. And that's what Teacher Corps did for me. We all know that when we improve student success in school, we improve a long-time community outcomes as well. And to my husband, Steve, to my son, Sean, to my daughter, Kia, to the rest of my family, to my son by love, Jesse, to my daughter by love, Pendana, my personal and my professional PDK Tall Chapter sisters that are here visiting with me tonight, I sincerely thank each of you for your unselfish level of support. It has been one of those things that you have to remember. Each of you have supported me as I have stretched my God-given talents and my skills and my energy to do what I have done as an educator, as an administrator, and as an IUPUI alumni. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your unselfish time, because I know many nights Sean and I sat up doing things late at night, and he would say I was the best study partner that he had, because I was helping him while he was staying up with me to get my work done too. And oftentimes Kia and Steve just had to cook food on their own and do whatever they needed to do, because I was always going from school to following them from school. But I am here today because of their unselfish time and understanding that my work was not just work to be done at home, but that my work was to be done as far as service to our students and to our families. So joining me tonight also is the co-founder of the IUPUI Teacher Core Program, Dr. Art Brill. And I say thank you to Dr. Brill. For Teacher Core did transform my approach to education in and out of the classroom. Together, Dr. Brill and the other Teacher Core alumni supporters, we established a Transition to Teach scholarship. And now that supports other urban educators to give it their very best. So to all of you who are here tonight, to my family that is joining me also here, I say thanks to you, because I am what I am, and I have accomplished what I've accomplished because of your unselfish level of support. You've been the wind behind my sail. You've unselfishly kept me going. You've allowed me to be a servant leader and an educating advocate. And each of you have helped mold me into being the IU Distinguished Alumni. So thanks for helping me to remember that motto, to live that motto, good, better, best. We can't let it rest until our good is our better, and our better is our best. And I say thank you for letting me do that motto, letting me live it, and being the best I possibly can be with all that I can, to all that I can, as long as I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz, and congratulations. Our final recipient tonight is Pat Wilson. A native of Chicago, Illinois, Wilson earned a bachelor's and a master's degree from Indiana University School of Education in 1971 and 1977, respectively. Wilson began her career in 1973 with the Monroe County School Corporation as a teacher at Binford Middle School. She went on to work at Bloomington High School North, where she currently serves as the Social Studies Department Chair. Wilson began teaching in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction at IU Bloomington in 1989 and continues in her role as an adjunct instructor. She has also worked in the university system as a consultant to the Center on Congress, the Teacher as Decision Makers program, and the Religious Studies Summer Institutes. From 2009 to 2013, Wilson held the position as a project director for the History Educators Project, a $500,000 collaborative grant that brought together faculty from IU Bloomington and the Monroe County Community School Corporation. In 1998, she co-founded the Bloomington North Habitat for Humanity, the most active student chapter in the United States. North Habitat began building their 15th home in September of this year. Wilson's contributions to the Bloomington community, the Monroe County School Corporation, and Indiana University have been widely recognized at the national, state, and local levels. She's received the Claus Nobel National Educator of the Year Award, the National Outstanding Secondary Social Studies Teacher of the Year Award, the Center on Congress Outstanding Teacher of the Year, and the Joseph P. Whitehead Award. At the state level, she received the Outstanding Teacher in Bloomington, Indiana, Court of Appeals Award, the Toastmasters International Communication of Leadership Award, the Indiana Bell Ringer Award, and the Distinguished Hoosier Award presented by Governor Bai in 1992. And locally, she has received the Lifetime Achievement Teaching Award, the Outstanding Educator of the Year, Excellence in Volunteerism, the Lloyd Alcott Community Service Award, the Student Choice Award for Excellence in Teaching at the IU School of Education, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award. I have to say I've had the privilege of being a colleague of Pat's for many years. And I really have deeply appreciated the support that she has provided for me as a faculty member here at the School of Education, particularly when I've had international visitors. She's opened up her classroom to the visitors that we've had from around the world, and I think she's been an incredible ambassador for not only the School of Education, but for the education profession more generally, for those who visit us from other parts of the world. So I particularly want to thank Pat for that. Wilson has been married to her husband Gary since 1971. They have one daughter, Kelly, who's married to John Wallace. They have two grandchildren, Caden and Olivia. Pat, it is truly a privilege for me to recognize you as the IU School of Education Distinguished Alumnus. Pat.
I would like to thank the School of Education Alumni Board of Directors and our President, Dave DeMette, for hosting this event and serving as the nominating committee. I would also like to thank Dean Gerardo Gonzalez, Dean Terry Mason, and the following staff members from the Office of Development and Alumni Relations: Joe Cantor, Megan Morrow Burkett, Katie Schmock, and Cheryl Martin for all the time, talent, and effort they put into making this such a celebratory evening. I was privileged and blessed to continue my post-secondary educational journey at Indiana University and its School of Education. Within these hallowed halls, I was nurtured and inspired by professors who were passionately committed to social justice, volunteerism, and civic participation. I am honored tonight that my methods teacher, Fred Reisinger, is sitting in the audience. He was a total inspiration to me, and he was a man that after I graduated from Indiana University, followed me into the MCCSC, willing to help me with lesson planning and with demonstration lessons. He never gave up on me. Thank you, Fred. It was wonderful. And Lee Inman was here earlier, and he too was one of my methods professors who I have unbelievably fond memories of, and thank them for the foundational skills and dispositions that they gave me. The following quotes embody my philosophy of education. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease at death. Einstein. Greatness is not found in possessions, power, position, or prestige. It is discovered in goodness, humility, service, and character. Arthur Ward. I strive to help my students excel in the academic arena and in service to our global community. I encourage a strong work ethic, perseverance, and goal achievement. I want my students to be curious, analytical, and original, comprehensive thinkers who pursue learning for personal growth, intellectual stimulation, and application to real-world problems. Emphasis must be placed on social justice, equality, equity, diversity, and global perspectives if the world's marginalized voices are to be surfaced and addressed. Issues addressing universal health care, the widening gap between rich and poor, educational opportunities, racism, classism, and social justice form the constructs of my classes, which leads me to my passion for bringing learning alive and making it relevant. A few decades ago, my students wanted to engage in real projects that would have a positive and lasting impact on the community. We became very concerned about the number of Bloomington residents who lived in substandard housing. This issue became a paramount topic of research, analysis, and social action. The students decided to make a difference, and we founded Bloomington North Habitat in the 1990s. Our students now co-sponsor a new home every year, which means raising $30,000 to $40,000 a year, providing a regular workforce and meals for the worksite volunteers. We are currently building house number 15, as Terry mentioned, which will be dedicated to our partner family in January of 2016. Our students have learned to walk the talk of social justice. My endeavors have been supported and sustained by so many people, both family and friends, many of them in this room tonight. I am so blessed to work with great colleagues and administrators. Thank you, Jeff Aiken and Dawn Adams. Jeff Henderson, my principal, and Peggy Chambers, our associate superintendent. Martha Street, who represents, not only was a teacher, but represents the MCCSC school board. Two friends, Susie and Tom McGlasson. Dick Bishop, friend and godfather to our daughter Kelly. To family, Debbie, my sister, and Glenn, my brother-in-law. Ken and Carol, my cousins and great supporters. My Uncle Stan Vance, thank you so much for all that you've done. Jim and Joy Ferguson, with whom we share our grandchildren. And my daughter Kelly, who inspires me every day. And when I listen to the lyrics of Wind Beneath My Wings, I think of Gary, my husband of 44 years, and what he means to me. Without his strength and his support, I would never have soared. Did you ever know you're my hero? Thank you again for this award from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations, Pat. Please join me once again in congratulating all of this year's recipients of the School of Education's Distinguished Alumni Award. Before I relinquish the stage one more time to Dave, I do want to echo Pat's thanks in particular. An event like this, quite obviously, is extremely difficult to organize and to pull off with such class and grace. And I really want to thank Joe and Cheryl and Katie and Cassie and the development office team who did such an outstanding job of putting this wonderful event together tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dean. Well, this concludes our program. I want to say thank you to each of you all. Thank you and congratulations to each of our award recipients. Truly inspiring. It's the reason I come back every year, and I hope that you'll all join us again next year when we recognize more distinguished alumni from the Indiana University School of Education. At this time, our program is concluded. I encourage you to enjoy the remainder of your meal. If you have dessert left, I encourage you to enjoy that. Would like to invite the award recipients to come forward for additional photographs. Thank you.